you sold the wigs to clients of hers, and if they didn't pay you, that's not her problem. Is that your defense?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, yes, ma'am. Stop jumping up and down because it makes me seasick.
Okay.
Stand still.
I can't.
You can't. You want a stool to sit on?
No.
You sure?
I just have anxiety.
Okay. Ms. Diallo, how long had you been in the online wig business?
3 years now.
And on what date did Ms. Taylor contact you?
October 1st of 2021.
Had you ever dealt with her before?
I haven't. A customer of mine actually referred her to me.
You had not dealt with her before?
Correct.
And her first order was for what?
A 34-inch deep wave wig unit.
I don't know what that is. Tell me how much it cost you.
$391.
And how much did you charge Ms. Taylor?
$491.96.
And you shipped it to her?
No, I didn't.
Where did you ship it?
Right now, I didn't ship anything at the moment.
Okay, so she ordered the first one for $491.
Yes, and then after that, I shipped after.
How many did she order all in total?
In total, 5.
Within what period of time?
In the span of 4 days.
Okay, and Ms. Taylor, you do not deny the fact that 5 wigs were ordered in a conversation over the internet with the plaintiff. Uh-huh is not an answer.
Yes, ma'am.
Do you have a copy of those orders?
Yes, ma'am.
I'd like to see them, please. Who's Joyce?
One of my clients.
Your Honor, that's her.
Shh. Do you have a MasterCard?
No, ma'am.
Did you ever?
No, ma'am.
Do you have any credit card?
Yes, ma'am.
How long has Joyce been a client of yours?
Probably about a year.
When you say she's a client of yours, she comes to your salon?
Yes.
You have a
my
salon?
apartment. No, I have to do my hair out of my apartment.
So she comes to your apartment?
Yes, ma'am.
And how do you know when she wants to come for an appointment?
She'll text me. She'll DM me.
Okay, so she texts you, which means she texts you from a phone.
Right.
Which means that you have your phone, which shows her text messages.
Not.
What do you mean, not? If she texts you for an appointment, then you know how to contact her.
Yeah.
And she knows how to contact you. I want to see that. I want to call her.
I don't have that phone anymore.
Get it? You have to understand where I'm going. Do you understand?
Yes.
Yes, you understand where I'm going. Who is that?
My boyfriend.
Your boyfriend. What does he have to do with this?
Because he was at the house when her and someone else came to the door.
I don't care.
Okay.
If I were coming to court today and I knew that there was going to be a certain amount of proof that involved some person who is named Joyce, and order confirmation email was sent to Joyce at your email address.
Right.
Right. And Joyce is somebody who was a client of yours for a year, not too long ago, who's no longer a client of yours. Not isn't an answer. Yes is an answer.
Ma'am.
But you can't give me her number to call because you lost your phone.
Yes. And she blocked me after I start asking her about the dispute.
Well, just a second. Well, that's 2 different things. You see, if she may have blocked your number, she won't block my number. That's not what you told me. You told me you don't have that phone anymore.
I don't.
Well,
and she blocked me.
How do I know that?
Her. I don't know.
How do I know that?
Did.
Yeah, right. Okay. Dora Dynasty, is that your?
Yes, that's my business.
That's your business. Well, these wigs were sent to Dora Dynasty.
Right.
Right, I know, right. And who is?
A client.
And is still your client?
No.
No. Okay, you seem to be having a lot of trouble in your business.
How?
Yeah.
I've been having this trouble ever since the wigs have got delivered, and she hit me about a dispute.
Let me explain something to you. You purchased the wigs based upon her conversation.
I got to my house.
Just pay careful attention to me. They were all delivered to you.
Right.
That means you bought them. If somebody stiffed you, that's not her problem. But according to her, and you acknowledge that she sent you 5 wigs, and the is not an answer. Do you understand? You following me? Okay. What was the total value of her purchase?
$21.96.
And can I see the reversal of that charge on your credit card?
Yes, ma'am.
Now, at some point, your credit card was charged. At some point, your credit card was charged. That's either a yes or a no.
No.
Whose credit card was charged?
My client's.
Which client?
I'm not sure. Whichever wig she said was disputed.
You said in your answer you kept all the wigs.
No, I didn't. I didn't keep all the wigs. They got delivered to my house. 2 of them I installed, and the rest they picked up.
The wigs got shipped directly to my salon.
The wigs shipped to my apartment because I was going to do their hair. I told them about the vendor.
Are you trying to tell me that despite the records that she has, that you were the contact person on all of this?
Right.
Nobody else?
Right.
Just you?
Right.
That you gave these wigs to somebody else?
They
to 4 other
paid for
people?
'em.
They paid who?
They paid her. They paid for the wigs, and they got them shipped to my house.
Were 4 different people charged for the wigs?
Yes.
4 different people?
Yes. She did 5 different transactions.
Are you telling me that the 5 different transactions were all her?
All her.
That makes my life easy. So what you're saying to me, she charged it on 5 different cards.
Yes.
No, I didn't.
But she is all of those people.
All of them.
How?
I'd like to see it.
Please.
And Your Honor, she also admits it on Twitter. She doesn't actually know I have her Twitter account. And this is how she gets them. She orders,
May I see it, please? See how you're smiling? Bad. She should have left you home.
Man, please.
Do you understand? She should have left you home.
Nah, they just ain't
You
communicating
should have left
right.
you home.
They ain't communicating right.
Still not a good look from you.
Fatoumata Diallo claims salon owner Kanaya Taylor owes for the cost of 5 wigs.
What's Beauty?
that's her business name. Business Twitter.
I don't have a Twitter.
Right.
I have an Instagram, 2 of them,
I have
and a
mentioned
business page. That's what I have. I don't have a Twitter. Do you have my Instagram?
I do.
Don't talk to each other. Don't ask her any questions. That's so interesting.
What?
From Dora Salon, is that it? Or Dora Salon?
Yes, ma'am.
No.
I have her LLC.
Just a second. Yeah. Can I see that?
Yes.
Yeah.
It's Dora Dynasty.
And here's her LLC, so it matches.
I'd like to see it.
And here you go as well.
Well, this is from Beauty at...
No.
What do you mean, no?
No, my business name is Dora Dynasty.
Yeah. Dora Salon 1 Beauty, Dora Dynasty LLC, Dora's Dynasty.
Right.
And about the same time, the tweet is over 2,000 in wigs. I'll smack those. And then on the 13th, you write, my wigs come tomorrow. And then on October 11th, I'll be wrong if I dispute it once I get it. And then I don't know what did the...
Because,
what is,
ma'am,
just a sec, I'm reading something. Is not an answer. I didn't ask you anything. What does that mean, Sarah?
It's just an emoji. Like, so what? I don't care.
Oh, I'll be wrong if I dispute it once I get it. So what? But was so rude I can't even ask them questions, telling me I didn't read it. And then she writes, see how you're smiling? Bad. She should have left you home.
Man, please.
Do you understand? She should have left you home.
Nah, they just ain't
You
communicating
should have left
right.
you home.
They ain't communicating right.
I paid all this money for these wigs
Exactly.
and these slow rolling. Wow. I assume that those people, the clients that you were talking about, was slow rolling. Would that be a fair statement? I mean,
I'm
I'm
even talking about her.
not familiar with all of this. And then you show me in these tweets, or whatever they call them, a picture that was put up by Boo. Is that a name?
Yes.
Now, what is that?
That's her client actually contacting me and telling me that she's charged her for the wigs and that she was never a stylist to begin with.
How did I upcharge the fee when they paid for it themselves?
Nobody hears you, madam. Okay, so you acknowledge you got them. Your statement is you no longer have them. She didn't make a deal with you. She made a deal with 4 other phantom clients, 2 of whom either you lost your phone, the dog ate your phone, you don't have the number anymore, you don't have the contact anymore, but we don't know how to get in touch with him. And then there was somebody that actually was wearing one of the wigs that she didn't get paid for, that she got from you.
That's not true.
Could I see the invoice and the chargeback, please?
Yes.
Still not a good look from you.
Well, well,
Yeah, not a good
It's
look.
funny because it's not true.
Not a good look. You the boyfriend?
yeah.
Stand up for a minute. Just have a couple of questions. Tell me your name.
Braylon, right?
What do you do for a living?
I'm a barber.
Do you live together?
Yes.
How long have you lived together?
Going on a year.
So you were living with her when these wigs were delivered?
Yeah. Yes.
Yes, would be an answer. Were you there when she opened the wigs?
One wig she had to put together for a client. Then she opened, she told me what she was doing. I know her. I don't be in no business like that.
So the answer is you were only there when one wig was delivered?
I was only there when she opened one wig.
When she opened one?
And I took her to go pick up a wig from her.
Did you drive her there?
Yeah.
Did you go in with her?
No. She came outside. She walked across
Just
the
a
street
second.
and got it.
Don't speak. Don't speak. She walked across the street and got it.
From her, yeah. Downtown.
Your Honor, she was actually driving. Because
Do you work out of the apartment as well?
No.
You work out of a shop?
Yes.
Are you ever there when your girlfriend is working on clients in your house, in your apartment?
Yeah, I've been there.
Often?
Not really, I be gone. Working hours, I'm working. If she work at the house, I'm working at the shop.
How many rooms are in the place where you and the defendant live?
At the time, we was in a two-bedroom apartment.
And who was there, just the two of you?
No, we had a roommate.
So you had one bedroom for yourselves, you had a roommate, and then there was a common area, kitchen, living room, right?
Yes.
Where did she conduct her salon business, in what room?
What it would be like, dining room area connected.
In the dining.
Yeah.
And is that where she kept her equipment?
Yes.
Is that where she kept her materials?
Yes.
How many wigs did you see in that dining room area at any one time during the time you were living there?
Maybe one she was working on the door, two, maybe two at the most.
You paid rent in the apartment?
Did I pay rent? Nah.
Did she pay rent?
Yes.
How much?
It was like, what, 1,200?
Don't ask her anything.
1,200. I don't pay the rent, 1,200. I don't pay it, so I don't know.
Why don't you pay anything towards rent?
I don't have to pay the rent if I pay the bills, I pay car notes, I pay different stuff. We 50-50.
Well, if it's 50-50, then you would also pay part of the rent.
Not if it add up to both our car notes, rent, which really be a little bit more.
Okay, so you pay the other bills, she pays the
Yeah,
rent.
I moved in with her. I ain't lived there the whole time. I told you it'd only be like a year. She was already staying there. I moved in.
With what did you pay the car note?
With
a check?
No, I pay with either a car or my money.
Your girlfriend, does she have a car?
Does she have a car?
Yes, it's a yes or a no.
Not right now. She did.
Did she?
Yes.
What kind of a car did she have?
Chevrolet Sonic.
And what happened to that car?
It got whatever, repo.
It was repossessed.
They was scamming me
Just
on my insurance.
a second. I didn't ask you anything. I'm asking your witness.
Okay.
You brought him.
All right. I'm not the only person you suing. If I
I'm
pulled
not.
up
Nobody.
and bought
Nobody.
why wouldn't I
Nobody
take that?
is listening to you.
Okay, well, can I leave?
No.
Fatoumata Diallo has accused salon owner Kanaya Taylor of stealing 5 wigs. Kanaya says Fatoumata was trying to scam her.
So the car was repossessed. When? Don't look at her. Give me a month. Give me a year. Was it recent? In the last 3 months, 4 months?
I can't give you a month.
So it was repossessed because of non-payment of whatever the note was, because that's the only basis to repossess a car. Okay. Now, you say you're not living in that same apartment anymore. You were living in this 2-bedroom apartment with a roommate. Mm-hmm. Uh-huh is not an answer.
Yeah.
Yes is an answer. And you're no longer living in that apartment.
No.
And what happened to that apartment?
I moved. She moved with me.
Okay. You moved when?
November.
November of 2021.
Yes.
Just about the time of all these disputes over wigs. Did your roommate remain in the apartment?
Yes.
Did you have a lease in that apartment?
Yes.
Was your lease over, or did you move out during the lease?
It was over, and I renewed it for my roommate.
Now, the lease was in your name. Mm-hmm. Uh-huh is not an answer. Yes is an
ma'am.
answer, and you renewed the lease even though you moved out.
Yes, ma'am.
Where are you living now?
In Conyers.
What kind of a place?
House. And I pay all the bills.
And what does your girlfriend do?
She works.
What does she do?
She does lashes. She does hair. She does nails. She's an entrepreneur.
Does she have a website?
Yes.
Yes. What's the name of her website? You think?
Yeah, I think. I don't be on her. I don't shop with her.
Got it?
Looking.
Did you have a conversation with Miss Taylor about these 5 wigs? Did you have a conversation with her?
Yes.
Do you have a cell phone?
Me? No.
Did you ever have a cell phone?
Yes.
What happened to your cell phone?
I broke it, so I went on another one.
And you didn't get another one?
It have to get sent to the house. I just broke it. Like, I just broke it.
You just broke it?
Yeah.
So
last
you
week.
have a cell phone. Tell me how you broke the cell phone.
I got real angry and I threw it.
You got angry with somebody?
Yes.
And tell me how your girlfriend lost her cell phone.
Oh, she gave it to me.
And when did she lose her cell phone?
She gave me that phone. I bought her another phone. She gave me that
So
phone.
she gave you,
around.
just a second. So she gave you the phone that she had been using,
Yes.
which had Joyce information on it. That was the phone she gave you.
I guess so. I don't know Joyce. I don't know who Joyce is.
Sit down. Ms. Taylor, you want to be in business, you have to pay for what you ordered. It's
Yeah,
absolutely,
okay.
I'm not speaking to you, it's absolutely outrageous that she sent you these wigs, they were delivered to your house, and she not only doesn't have the wig, she doesn't have not only her profit, she doesn't have any money. And you've got a lot of clients that you can't identify, and phones that got lost, and information that you don't have. And information that you don't have, that you don't have. Clients that are no longer clients, that blocked you. I mean, people who block you after you work for them for a year, that means that you're either doing a lousy job.
No, because the way she came at me, I actually chumped them off because I feel like you're messing up my business. So I chumped them off, and I guess she didn't want to reply, and she just blocked me.
2196, judgment for the plaintiff.
Your Honor, I have other text messages. I was out of business for like month and a half.
I have to tell you something. I can't discern whether you lost business or not because of this. I cannot discern that. I can give you back the money that you lost as a result of shipping her 5 wigs and not getting compensated for it.
And I also have court fees, and I ordered a PI as well.
But
Just a second.
More people
that I will hear.
For wigs.
What were your court fees?
I'm not the only person you suing. If I
I'm
pulled
not.
up
Nobody.
and bought a wig, why wouldn't I
Nobody
do that?
is listening to you.
Okay, well, can I leave?
No.
'Cause it's
Court fees.
like...
And I also have my incident report that day.
Just a second. Would you please just give me the court fees? You said you had court fees and you hired an investigator.
Yes, I did.
And I'd like to see that invoice, because that's you're entitled to.
I have the text messages with my PI.
I don't know what this is. I don't know what this is that you're handing
that was
me.
just-
I asked you what the court fees were.
I have my PI phone number.
You have nothing.
I didn't print out my court fees, but I do have my more.
Do you have an invoice from the investigator that you say that you hired?
Yes.
And the work that they
Yes,
did?
I have all the messages.
I don't want messages. I need an invoice, a payment.
I did a payment, $400, and we have the text message trying to find her everything.
Can I see it, please? It was $250 for skip tracing and $150 for service.
My sales went down.
Just a second. Did this person serve her?
Yes, they did.
2196, judgment for the plaintiff. That's it. We're
This
done.
court is adjourned.
I never did it. You know, I just got it sent to my house.
We went through everything. We had to go through birthdays.
It's like saying, oh, I know a friend that they know how to cut hair.
Text messages, everything.
And then you don't like your haircut. What, you want me to pay for your haircut? Like, girl.
We literally hawked her down for the information.
She honestly messed up my clientele.
It would be easy to be forthcoming with me and say, these are the clients who I sold it to. I gave her the information. They were supposed to pay her, whatever, but she didn't.
A lot of running around.
A lot of
circle
running
story.
around, and there's no question that the plaintiff sold her those wigs. She made a markup. She made a 25% markup. That's okay. And I'm certain that she put in the wigs and made her own markup.
Yep.
You know, that's commerce. But this ability to reverse charges on a credit card and to have somebody, and it's usually just a person, we're not talking about a committee or a tribunal that determined whether or not the charge was legitimate, just to reverse it. And then where are you? You're left without your product. Very frustrating.
It's a double-edged sword. It can be very useful. I've had to do that on a few different occasions. And the process is very hidden and sort of behind the curtain. And I fear for people like the plaintiff who run their own business, hardworking people who make the best money on the internet because there's no overhead fee of running a store. But these are some of the risks and things that you have to ensure before you get into business.
Well, Too bad.
Yeah.
Too bad people don't do the right thing. If they did the right thing, we'd be out of business.
Tiffany Nilsson is suing her sister, Brandy Maida, for property damage, harassment, and lost work.
Court come to order. All rise.
Have a seat, everyone, please. Hello, Kate.
Case number 2006, Nelson versus Mata.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Miss Nelson, this is your sister.
Yes.
How old are you?
I am 42, 43, almost 44.
Oh, so are you the only two sisters?
We have some half-sisters, but yes.
But you're the only two full biological sisters. Now, there came a time, Miss Maida, that you moved into your sister's home.
Yes.
Is this a home that you own?
Yes, we built it.
In what year did you move into her home?
That would have been 2018.
Who else lives in the house from your family?
My disabled mother, my husband, and my child.
So your mother lives there.
Yes, I take care of my mom.
Tell me why you moved into your sister's basement, Miss Maida.
In 2015, my oldest son was in a tornado and suffered a severe brain injury. So when my sister Tiffany and her husband were looking for new houses, they offered to build an apartment in their basement so that we could live with them and get out of our mobile home. So when they built this house, it was built with the intention of us living in the basement.
Is that correct?
Yes, but for a year, because I do take care of my disabled mother, and the intention was for her to be in the basement eventually so that she doesn't have to use stairs.
Was the original agreement with your sister that it would not be a permanent move, but one that would last for about a year?
It was agreed that it was not a permanent. There was not a date set, though.
Okay, but it was agreed it was not a permanent, and you
Correct.
did not have a written lease?
Yes, we
We
did.
do have a lease.
You did. I'd like to see it.
We had a month-to-month lease that I have as well. This is the current lease that subsides the other lease.
Okay, initially a month-to-month lease, and what month and year did you have her sign?
I have it right here. It's dated July 14th, 2018.
So this is a 6-month lease that ended January 31st.
Correct.
The rent was $800 a month.
Yes.
So this last lease was for your sister, her husband, and 2 children.
Correct.
I only ask that question because if my reading of your complaint was correct, you say that she moved her husband in without your consent.
So when we first agreed to let her move in 2018, she was divorcing, and the agreement was that her and her 2 sons could move into the home. He had nowhere to go, and she wanted him to move in. So because that's,
In what year was that?
that was still 2018.
So that was still 2018.
Yeah, so we let,
All right, so
we
you
let him live there.
And since then, you've signed different leases with her, with him on the property.
Correct.
Okay, so then you acquiesced to it. When you were in the apartment, did you have pets?
I did.
How many pets did you have?
4 dogs. But then subsequently, some had passed away. So at the end, we only had 2 dogs.
Okay, well, at the signing of this lease, you had 6 pets, consisting of cats, dogs, and no other pets being allowed.
Correct.
And you agreed, regardless of ownership of the pets, agreed to restore the property to its original condition at your expense when you leave. Okay, good, because that's also part of what this is about, actually, most of what this is about.
Your Honor, they had 3 pets upon move out. They had just gotten a puppy, so they did have 3 pets and 2 cats upon move out.
Doesn't matter. Anybody who has 6 pets, after 3 years, the carpet needs to be replaced.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Now, your sister began to move out when? In what month?
She moved out on the 1st of February, 2022.
Pursuant to your agreement.
Correct.
And it is your claim that she left the premises in condition that required you to spend close to $10,000 to put it back into shape.
$6,500
Okay.
for the basement damages.
I'd like to see photographs of what it looked like because we know it was brand new when you moved in because the house was just
Those are
built.
all-
So we know that it's new.
I also have photographs that I took the day we moved out.
Okay. I'm going to give you these and then I'm going to look at yours.
Okay.
Okay, so there's no question you have to replace the carpeting.
Right.
You understand that. Did
Yes.
you replace the carpeting?
No, I had not had any contact from her.
Do you have the bill for the carpeting?
I replaced 1 room already, and I have that, and then I have the estimate to replace the other carpet.
Okay, I'll take a look at that. And that's the main thing that I see in the apartment that has to be done from these photographs. Okay, did you leave a lot of food in the refrigerator and all kinds of stuff in the refrigerator?
No, so what happened was the
Just the
refrigerator...
answer is either yes or no. Did you leave a whole lot of stuff in the refrigerator?
No.
Anything in the freezer?
No, there was no fridge or freezer.
And cabinets? Did you leave anything in the I'm just looking because there's a picture here of a whole bunch of food.
Right. I hadn't finished moving out.
My question,
yes, there was stuff
my
there.
question is, you were supposed to be out by February 1st. On February 1st, was there food in the house?
Yes.
Okay, and it should have been moved, whether you moved out yet or not. You were supposed to be out by February 1st. Okay, I'd like to see those. So you replaced the carpet in what room?
One of the bedrooms, so my mom could move down there so she could not use stairs.
Okay. Sarah, add these two figures and have them for me, please. And I don't know what this is a photograph of.
So the bags that were left in the home, there was ice cream that was left in those bags, and it had leaked on my flooring, and we moved it outside, and that is the rotted food from the bags.
Okay, do you know how that happened?
I don't. I haven't seen that.
Okay. May I see photographs, please, that you took on the day you moved out?
Yes.
I have that total, Judge. $4,129.
$4,121?
29
29.
and 21 cents.
Thank you. Is this after the carpet was taken out?
Yes.
Kevin, can I please see the photographs that she took? Actually, they're pretty much the same. Not terrible. A lot of it is ordinary wear and tear, except for the carpet. So that's $4,129. The only other thing that I'm questioning is that I saw these rocks, and I want somebody to explain these rocks to me.
So because of the water level, if you go out the downstairs patio, there's rocks there to prevent the yard from sliding.
Getting wet.
So some of the rocks were moved. They're supposed to all go in a line, and they go down and over. So we have to pay a landscaper to come out and basically redo that.
Well, how did that happen? Do you know?
They're pretty heavy rocks, so.
I don't know. Do you know?
don't know.
Did you move the rocks?
No, you would need like a skid loader to move those rocks. There's no physical way to move those
Where do you live?
with one person.
I live in far west Utah, farm country.
Looks like there's water comes down through here.
Yes, we live across the street from a pond as well.
Well, you don't know how that happens. Now, you have, in addition to your claim, which is for damage, you feel it's necessary to go into these allegations of harassment by your sister?
I honestly just want to be done with her and not get threatening text messages and stuff on social media.
No chance of a reconciliation. You
Not
lived
on my
together
end.
for a while,
I've blocked her from.
for a long time.
Yeah.
Ms. Mehta, your sister was there at a time when you needed her.
Yes.
You think that there's any potential for the two of you to sort of restore some kind of working relationship? You're the only two?
No. This
No.
is the funeral
Okay.
of our
All right,
relationship.
not my job. That's a job for another professional. Okay, you have a counterclaim.
Yes.
And your counterclaim, just as she's not going into harassment, I'm not going into anything that involves the harassment. It is your claim that you left certain furniture behind. Well, why wasn't your furniture out on the 1st? Your lease expired at the end of the month in January.
It did. And I did let them know that I was not done.
Well, that's not a reason. That's not a reason to break your contract. Only two people can break a contract, Ms. Mehta. The two people are the same two people that signed it. You signed a contract that said you would be out on a certain date. You weren't out on a certain date. The fact that you notified her that you're changing the terms of the contract unless she agreed to it, then you should have had your stuff out by the 31st. Why didn't you?
Because she had made it very difficult during my moving process. There was a lot of, like I said, harassment and stuff that happened during that moving process. She called the police on the people that were helping me. She made it very difficult to get it done. There was no way that I could get it done on
Let's
that
get
day.
back to call the police.
And later today,
After Mr. Martinez got into the picture, he was going to pay me not to talk to Sherry any longer.
So you had a discussion with him that all of her bills he was going to take care of?
Many discussions, yes, Your Honor.
Okay. And?
I never got a dime.
Okay, well, what is the harassment?
Tiffany Nelson claims her sister, Brandy Mehta, owes for property damage after living in her basement. Brandy is countersuing for the return of her belongings.
Who did you have moving you?
I had my best friend, Brittany, was helping me.
Does Brittany and your sister have any negative history?
They do.
Okay. Well, if they have any negative history, why would you have her come into the house?
Because she doesn't have any access to Tiffany at that point. There was no reason for them to talk. They wouldn't be even associating.
You know, if I knew that there were issues between my landlord and a particular person, especially if my landlord was my sister who let me move into her house, just from the question of using my brain, I wouldn't bring somebody that had been on the outs with them. If they didn't like them, that's one thing. You know, I'm really not crazy about your friend Brittany. That's one thing. But if you knew that there was an active, aggressive feeling against one or the other, should have had somebody else move. So why didn't you get your stuff out?
Well, so I didn't think that it was as serious as that. They are related.
If they're related and don't like each other, or the plaintiff doesn't like her, then that's even worse. Go ahead.
Yeah, so she was my only help. I didn't have anybody to help me at that time. So.
Then start doing it sooner. Go ahead.
Yeah, that was the only reason.
Miss Mater, where was your husband?
He was working. We were working during this whole time.
Well, that's okay. I've moved and worked. I used to move every time I needed a paint job. I would pack up and move, and I constantly worked. I've worked for 58 years. So that's not a reason. You pack in the evening. You go down after work, you get newspaper from the grocery store, and you get old cartons, and you wrap up the dishes and the cartons, and you manage to get out when you're supposed to get out. And she's not the only one who can help you. Maybe your husband has friends. If he doesn't have friends, I don't know why not. And in any event, that was not a smart thing for you to bring your witness. Furniture. What furniture did you leave?
I left patio set on the patio. It was all outside furniture.
On. Patio set.
You're on.
Just a second.
A lawnmower.
Okay.
Outside bench that had storage and stuff.
Yeah.
Fire pit and lawn chairs.
Okay. And when did you buy the lawn chairs?
It would have been 2018.
Okay. And how much did you pay for each one?
They were $245 for the chaise lounges and $159 for the pool dining chairs.
Okay. Are those chairs at your home?
Yes.
May I see them?
Yes. There's 4 lawn chairs. There was never the long chair.
Let me see what's in the home.
I also had a cooler.
Just a second. Don't bother me about a cooler. Are the lawn chairs still there?
Yes.
Great. You can go get them.
Okay.
With a marshal, not with her. What about the fire pit?
Still there.
You can pick up the fire pit. What about the lawnmower?
Still there.
Patio set.
Still there.
They have painted that purple.
Painted back. Where are you living now?
I have a house.
Who are you living there with?
With my husband and my sister-in-law.
She's living with you? Mm-hmm. She's paying, it's not an answer, yes.
Yes.
She's paying you rent?
No.
Why not?
My husband's mother, their mother passed away, and she needed to be closer to family, so she's just living with us as family.
Okay. You're going to get all the property back that you say you left there. Okay. And you can do that within 5 days on notice to the plaintiff with a marshal. Just give him a copy of the order that will give you inside.
Okay.
With regard to the renovation of the house, she has to put the house in reasonable condition. Most of these other pictures demonstrate some wear and tear that you would have to do. Painting and plastering after 3.5 years, but the carpeting had to be replaced, $4,129. Judgment for the plaintiff. Thank you very much. We're finished.
This court is adjourned.
I'm happy with her decision. I just wanted to fix my basement and move on with my life.
I mean, it is what it is. There's nothing to do. You know, I think we were both at fault.
Go back home, fix my house, and honestly have nothing to do with her again.
And if she had come and talked to me like a normal person, we could have figured this out without this.
No, I'm completely done.
I would like to not be inappropriate, but she's just not a good person.
I think that the two sisters had the best of intentions. Didn't you get that feeling?
I did. From moving in and knowing you have a designated place at a time of need, that she was going to design the basement for you to live in, although not permanently, I thought it was going to go in a good direction.
And I'm sure that the plaintiff's mother, who lives with her, is sad that she doesn't get to see her other daughter probably as frequently as she would like, because they live together in the same home, evidently for a very long time.
Yeah.
Very bad. There's always collateral damage when people don't get along.
True.
Case number 2039, Mormon versus Strauss. All parties, please step forward.
Derek Mormon is suing his former friend, Sherry Strauss, for car repairs and harassment.
Mr. Mormon, the defendant was a friend of yours.
Yes, ma'am.
A casual friend, a romantic friend?
Maybe both. You know, a casual romantic friend.
How long do you know her?
14 years at least, probably closer to 15, yeah.
Were you ever together as a couple?
No, ma'am.
And it is your claim that because she was in financial trouble, you extended a loan to her to fix her car.
Yes, ma'am.
That's what this case is about. You also say she harassed you, but most of this case is about the loans to fix her car. Ms. Strauss says that you did, in fact, work on her car, but you caused more damage to it than it originally had. And she is counterclaiming for car repairs that she has to make because of work that you did on the car. Who is this person?
My fiance.
Okay, he's not a mechanic.
No.
And who is the woman?
She is the property manager of the motel that I'm living in.
So you don't have a mechanic to testify today to anything?
No, I do have.
The answer is no.
No, but I do have an estimate.
I don't care about an estimate. Okay, so I would like you to tell me, Ms. Strauss, when did you start to have trouble with your car?
March 2nd of 2022.
And where were you living at the time?
I had just moved into the motel.
Had you been spending any time with Mr. Mormon?
Previous to that, no.
Previous to March of 2022?
That's correct.
Okay. After March of 2022, did you spend any time with Mr. Mormon?
I did, yes.
Did you stay at his home?
I went there occasionally, yes.
No, but I'm asking you, did you stay over at his home?
Yes.
Okay. And when you started to have trouble with the car in March, when you hadn't been staying at Mr. Mormon's house, did you call him and let him know you were having trouble with your car?
I did as a friend, yes.
And what did you say to him and what did he say to you?
I just told him I dropped my son off at his taekwondo and we were trying to leave and my car was not working.
And what did he say to you?
That he will come and help me.
And help you?
Yeah.
That was on March 2nd?
That was on March 2nd, yes.
And did he come to the motel where you were staying?
No, he did not.
Well, how did he come and help you with the car?
Because my car was at my son's taekwondo, so he went there.
He came to where you were? And did he take your car someplace?
Not on that day, no.
What did he do on that day?
On that day, he took me and my son home.
So that was March 2nd? Keep going. March 2nd, March 3rd?
And then on March 3rd, we ended up having my car taken over to O'Reilly's. Well, we got a battery.
How much was it?
It was $167.
Who paid for it?
I did.
So then you were driving it again? It's not, yes.
Correct.
Okay. And when was the next time there was difficulty with the car?
Then the next time was March 7th. It died again.
So on March 7th, the car died again? And what did you do?
Then on March 7th, I called him and told him that something's wrong with my car again. Now it's not starting again.
Okay. And tell me why you called him.
Because as a good friend, like I said, we've been friends for 15 years. As it is, I don't ask anybody for help. I usually try to do everything on my own. But,
Okay, so you called him and said the car died again?
Yep, but he had made it known that he was knowledgeable about cars, so I figured that maybe he would know what was going on.
You know who else is knowledgeable? Mechanics. You want to tell me what the additional harassment is?
He showed up at my motel threatening.
What did he want?
When I had talked to him before, when he thought that David and I was not together anymore, he said, oh, it's not about the money. He goes, I just want you.
Derek Mormon says his former friend Sherry Strauss owes for car repairs. Sherry is countersuing, claiming Derek damaged her car, trying to fix it.
Okay, so on the 7th, you called him again and said, I'm having trouble. What did he do?
Then on the 7th, I had to go to work, so I had another friend take me to work. He came and picked me up from work, and we took my car back over to O'Reilly's, took the battery out, had them test it. The battery had been drained. Figured it was the alternator, got the alternator. He put the alternator in.
Who paid for all of these repairs? That's what it's about. That's
I
what
paid
this case
for
is.
them.
So what is he suing for?
Because later on, my brakes and rotors went out and I got a flat tire. So at that time, yes, I did call him and let him know.
On what date was that?
That was on April 16th of 2022.
Okay. Well, right now it's gone on the fritz on the 2nd, the 7th, and April 16th. So that's a lot of aggravation. So on April 16th fiasco with the car and the repairs, how much was that?
$234.
Who paid for that?
He said that he would pay for it. He originally told me that his mechanic would allow me to make payments. And when we went to go pick it up on April 22nd, found out that that was not the case.
Okay, so he wasn't going to allow you to make payments,
No.
which mechanics usually don't. So how much was the bill?
So the bill was $567.91.
And he paid for that because they wouldn't let you make payments?
He paid for that because he knew I was...
No,
enough
not
to
he
buy.
knew. You were originally going to pay for that and make payments.
Yeah, I was
Just
gonna
a
make
second.
payments.
You were originally going to pay for it and make payments. You found out that you couldn't make payments, so he said, fine, I will make the full payment to the mechanic.
Yeah.
But it was always your intention to pay for the repairs of the car, only you wanted to pay for it in a slower fashion.
Right, I was going to make the payments to the mechanic, yes.
Right, okay.
Yeah.
What I want to know is, did you pay him back any of the $567?
I gave him $300 to help him with rent, but
Just a second. Tell me when you gave him $300 for rent.
I gave him the $300 on April 29th.
That was after you picked up the car. Is not an answer.
Yes, ma'am.
Did she give you $300 for rent?
No, Your Honor, I don't need anybody to help me pay my rent.
Do you have any proof that you gave him $300 for rent, a withdrawal from a bank, or anything?
No, I don't, Your Honor.
Okay, so far you owe $567. Is that what you paid for her in April?
No, Your Honor, I paid $674.76.
May I see it, please?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, April 18th. $674. Would you show this to Ms. Strauss? Okay. Mr. Mormon?
Yes, Your Honor.
There subsequently came a time, which I think probably was a more social issue than anything else, when the defendant advised...
I have a different one that shows
May I
the
s-
receipt right there.
May I see it?
The $567.91.
Well, I actually am not understanding this. He paid for this with his Visa card. Is that right?
That's correct.
Could you explain this to me? This is your Visa card. This is the same invoice. One of them is for $567.91, and the one that you gave me, the same invoice number, is $674.76. Sarah, would you do me a favor, please?
Sure.
Would you add up?
From both or just the top one?
Well, let's start with just the top one, for which there is a Visa receipt. So I gather that all this became problematic when you started to see a serious boyfriend. Is that right?
That's correct.
Now, after March, you said you stayed occasionally at Mr. Mormon's. When you stayed at Mr. Mormon's, was that more of a social? I mean, was it a more intimate relationship than just social friends? This was after March, after you were in the motel.
We're kind of like friends with, benefits in a way, so
Okay.
yeah.
All right. And then you found someone new, and according to him, you advised him that you had somebody new, and now he wants the money for the car, which you were going to pay anyway. You were going to
Originally,
pay
I
it.
figured it was a friend helping a friend. I didn't
No,
think of
it
it as a
wasn't.
loan.
No. It wasn't. Even you say, Ms. Strauss, it was your intention to pay this bill for your car as you would pay the other bills for your car. However, when you got there, you found you couldn't make time payments. So he said, well, you need a car. I'll lay it out up front. But it was always your intention to pay for your own car. Do we have a...
That is the correct number.
Which-
And then at the bottom, that totals. And then the additional to bring you to 567 is the tax.
Okay. Now, so the next part of your case is about harassment. By whom and for what?
Your Honor, after Mr. Martinez got into the picture,
That's this gentleman.
yes, ma'am, he was a man of his word, and he was going to pay me not to talk to Sherry any longer, which I didn't.
Okay, so you had a discussion with him that all of her bills he was going to take care of?
Many discussions, yes, Your Honor.
Okay. And?
I never got a dime.
Okay, well, what is the harassment?
Text messages, my witness here, Miss Montoya,
No, just a second.
Okay.
Text messages what?
just saying, hey, leave her alone, which is
Okay,
fine.
that's all right. That's not
Yeah,
harassment.
I don't have a problem with that.
Okay, fine.
But it was, hey, I'm going to pay you. I'm a man of my word.
Okay, well, that you're not
Where's my
suing him,
money?
so who cares about that?
Yeah.
She owes you $567. That's what you put on your visa. Now, let's get to your money owed for car repairs and harassment. Okay. Now, you don't have a mechanic here, so what your claim is that whatever he did to the car, he didn't do well, so you had to take the car, or you're going to have to take the car to another mechanic. I don't care. You would plan to fix this car yourself. The problem was with payments. If you had to make additional repairs to the car, that's not his problem. Okay, now you want to tell me what the additional harassment is?
Well, that's why I have my two witnesses here. He spent a lot of time calling me names. He's called my fiance names. He showed up at my motel threatening and stuff like that. So
What did he want?
he wanted his money, but at one point in time-
Now he's got it. I don't need to speak to you.
No, but
Now he's got his money.
When I had talked to him before, when he thought that David and I was not together anymore, he said, oh, it's not about the money. He goes, I just want you. He's got several messages from me, how he loves me, he wants to be with me, and all this and that.
Yeah, but you don't love him and you don't want to be with him, so now you have to pay him for your car repairs, $567.
Yeah.
Judgment for the plaintiff.
Well-
We're finished. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Your Honor.
This court is adjourned.
Hey, justice was served, and that's all that matters.
It was about because he didn't have me. I went with somebody else, and I wasn't with him.
She was a friend, and I tried to help her out.
We've been friends for a long time, so I told him we would be, that I wanted to be his friend.
I ain't gonna help, I can tell you that.
I want to continue the friendship, and he didn't want that.
I know, never again on her, no.
Time to find another mechanic.
So I really didn't have so much trouble with that case because the defendant had really planned on paying for her car repairs. Do I think that the guy said to her, you can make payments, and when she got there, he said, no, who knows? It's not worth it.
Yeah.
He felt used.
Which I think is valid.
Which, give somebody money, and then you've had sort of a friends with benefits relationship, and all of a sudden you got somebody new, and you're driving around in a car that you paid to repair. Anyway, it was simple and easy.
It was. They're not all that easy.
Year-old Isabel Irwin is suing her father, Neil Irwin, for personal belongings.
Court come to order. All rise.
Have a seat, please.
Case number 27, Irwin versus Irwin.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Miss Irwin, this is your dad,
Yes, he is.
and you're 19?
Yes, I am.
According to what I read in your complaint, your parents divorced when you were 10,
Yes.
and your father was your primary custodian. You lived with him.
Yes, I did.
Did you graduate from high school?
Yes, I did.
When you were 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, and 16, did you live with your father?
At the age of 15, I moved out because...
Okay, so at age 15, you moved out.
Yes.
Because here you said, when I was 18, my father kicked me out of the house for no good reason.
Yes.
Guess what? Well, you've just told me that you left the house when you were 15.
Yes, and I lived with my mother for 2 years, and...
Okay, so from age 15 to 17, you lived with your mother.
Yes.
Is that because you were having difficulty with your father?
Yes.
Okay, and then you went to live with your mother.
Yes.
But that didn't last.
No.
So now, at 17, you go back to your father.
Yes.
And you stayed with him until you were 18.
Yes, correct.
So far, I have the fact that your family is a little dysfunctional, but that you had certain problems.
So I moved out when I was 18.
Just a second. Would that be a fair statement, that you had some problems?
No, it would not be.
Okay. What high school did you graduate from?
It's a school partnered with the National Guard for kids that are off track to get them back on track.
Did you have to pay for that school?
No, they are paid by the government.
Could you look them up for me?
Yeah, it's a residential program for youths aged 16 to 18 who've dropped out of school or who are seriously behind in credits and need to catch up quickly.
Okay, so you were dropped out of school?
No.
Or seriously behind?
Yes.
Dropped out or behind in credits.
Okay. And how old were you when you graduated from...
I was 17 years old.
And so at that point, you moved in with your father?
Yes.
And why did you leave when you were 18?
He had evicted me.
Okay. And I'd like you to tell me your version of his evicting you when you were 18, because this case involves you're suing your father for items that he disposed of that were yours, and you want this court to award you $7,400 for the things that he disposed of that were yours.
Yes.
Okay. So tell me why you believe he evicted you when you were 18.
I believe he evicted me when I was 18 because I was buying my first car and he got jealous of the car I had, and he stated that when I moved back in for the second time. He evicted me the second...
No. We're on the first time that your father evicted you, not the second time. The first time your father evicted you, I can ask him, or you want me to stay with you?
You can ask him.
Fine. Tell me why you evicted her the first time, which you did.
The main reasons would be that she agreed to pay rent, which she never did. She needed
working?
Off and on. I'd say over the past 2 years, she's probably had from my guesstimate, 15 to 20 jobs, all ranging from an hour or a day, I think the longest being about 3 months. Can't maintain a job, would prefer to smoke pot all day in her room and hang out with her boyfriend, basically. Which at the time, for the first eviction, she did not know Corey.
Okay.
But she still does the same thing.
Yeah, well, that's unfortunate. That's what you indicate here. So that was the reason that you evicted her the first time. And that was maybe in June?
I would have filed that June 9th of 2021.
June. Okay. But she came back shortly thereafter, in October.
The sheriffs removed her August 13th, 2021.
Is that because you asked her to leave and she wouldn't?
It's a 3-step process. And I had a 24-hour notice posted to the door after 34 days.
Well, I mean, she's your daughter.
Yeah.
So there must have been some discussion, Mr. Irwin, with her. You saying to her, listen, this is not working out.
There wasn't a discussion, Your Honor.
Was not?
I served her the first notice. We talked about it.
Oh, you talked about it?
Prior to me filing. I told her I would do it. I don't think she believed me.
She knew you wanted her to leave as a result of that discussion.
Yes.
And she didn't.
She did not.
She had lived with you off and on, with the exception of 2 years that she lived with her mother, and part of it in a residential program. It's a residential program, correct?
Yes.
When she lived with you, she was 10 years old. Can you tell me, Mr. Irwin, from the time she was 10 until the time she was 18 and she was ultimately evicted, what items in the house she purchased? Bed, TVs, anything big?
She never purchased anything.
When she came back from her mother, what did she come back with?
I believe just a few clothes and a bag. She had to kind of run back.
And to the best of your knowledge, had your daughter maintained any sort of gainful employment the last 3 years?
No.
So other than the clothes she came back with when she was 17, there were no big-ticket items?
There were a few by the time I had to evict her the second time, but I would have furnished those, being, you know, bed set, furniture,
bed.
Tempur-Pedic bed. I think that's part of what she's really wanting out of this $7,400.
Okay, so you purchased a bed?
Yes.
Because you didn't have one in the room where she was?
I was just trying to take care, yeah. I was using the room for my own purposes. I live alone until she moved back in, and usually welcoming of my daughter coming home, so I furnished a room.
Okay, so that's why you left the first time. The first time you left because he got annoyed that you were hanging around doing nothing and smoking pot.
I did pay rent,
right.
too.
Right. And weren't doing it much.
No, I was not smoking often.
We're not doing much, is what I said.
Yes, I had a job. I worked at the beginning of the year.
For how many days?
I worked there for about 3 months, and then I worked as a kennel technician for about 2 months.
What happened to both those jobs?
My dad, his alcoholism, he would never let me sleep in the room as I was paying rent, and he would lock me out. He would lock me out. He would lock me out, and he would flip the garage switch, so I wasn't able to get access to the house. I wasn't able to get clean, so I couldn't obtain the job, and my mental health wasn't there for that job, so that's why I took the kennel technician job, and that's when he evicted me.
Where are you living now?
With my boyfriend.
That's him?
Yes.
And where are you working now?
I am unemployed.
Sorry, that's easy. So now you're not working. Now nobody's locked you out. Nobody's made it impossible for you to work. And what kind of work does your boyfriend do?
He is construction. I do DoorDash.
Okay. Your boyfriend is construction?
Yes.
How old is he?
He is 20 years old.
You're Corey?
Yes, Your Honor.
Who do you live with?
My mom and her new husband.
How did I know that? How did I just know that? It's so perfect to be old that, I mean, I ask the questions. I could have asked the questions and answered the questions. So you and your girlfriend live with your mother?
Yes, Your Honor.
Did you graduate from high school?
Yes, Your Honor.
And what's the name of the company that you work for?
Landscape.
Do you work for them full time?
Yes, I do.
For how long?
I've been working for them about 2 months now.
2 months?
Yes.
Prior to that, what did you do?
I worked for Chewy.
Chewy, the dog products?
Yes, Your Honor.
What happened to that job?
I just wasn't liking the job anymore, and I thought I could do a lot harder work, and that's what I strive to do, is just continue trying to be the best person I can.
And what does your girlfriend do all day when you're out in your landscaping job for the last 2 months?
She stays busy going to the gym and making sure that everything is in tip-top shape, and just bringing me lunch when I'm on my break for work.
And you're living in your mom's house, be a fair statement. You don't have to be a math wizard, which I am not, because you don't have enough money to move out into your own place.
Yes, Your Honor.
Does your mom work?
Yes, she does.
Who else lives in the house?
Her newly husband.
Now, you have a room in your mom's house?
Yes, Your Honor.
Is it furnished?
Yes, Your Honor.
Who bought the furniture?
I bought the bed set and...
Tell me when you bought the bed set.
I bought it about 2 years ago because we moved there recently.
So what you're telling me is you purchased a new mattress?
Yes.
With your earnings?
Yes, Your Honor.
And how much was it?
It was about $1,500.
And if you left the house, you would want to take your mattress because you bought it.
Yes, Your Honor.
You wouldn't take any of the other furniture in the house because you didn't buy it.
Yes, correct.
Whether it's your dresser or a TV in your room, your parents bought that.
Yeah.
The mattress you bought.
Yes, Your Honor.
Now you can sit. Show me that you gave him $3,000. I can't figure that you had saved $3,000.
I gave him that to purchase the mattress because that was the time I was purchasing my car.
How could you purchase a car? You don't work.
"19-year-old Isabel Irwin claims her father, Neil Irwin, owes for personal belongings.
Now, I'm going to sort of pull this together. Eventually, you moved back into the house after an initial eviction, and you weren't doing well, I assume.
Yes.
And then you came back a couple of months later and asked your father if you could move back in.
Yes.
And he said, okay.
Yes.
And that didn't work out. He was unhappy with the arrangement.
I was paying rent before. He was kicking me out, so I decided not to pay rent.
Whatever the reason, he wasn't happy with it. You were gone for a couple of months.
He evicted me, yes.
Yes. Well, he evicted you for a reason, Miss Irwin. You have to stop being a baby. He evicted you for a reason. He took you back because you went there. You said, I have no place to go. I assume, without going into specifics, because you look a little frightened, and I don't have to get that crazed with you because it sounds like a very sad situation. He said, it's not working out again. I want you to leave. And when you left, you did not, according to you, take your stuff. And your father, at some point after he received a text message from you, which I assume you have, sir.
I do.
Which said, have a nice life. After he received that, waited a while and disposed.
That was a statement I made because I asked him to help me fill up my tires because they needed air, and I saw him pull into the Safeway parking lot and leave with his groceries, and he never helped me.
Okay. So you said, have a nice life. And then you want a whole bunch of things from the house. Now, I want you to tell me, with your limited work history, which you have, hardly enough to sustain yourself, because in October you came back to him and said, I need a place to live. So I want you to tell me what you purchased.
I purchased the Tempur-Pedic bed.
And who did you purchase it from?
My father.
You purchased it from your father?
Yes, he made the original purchase and said I could just give him the money, which I did.
Okay. And how much did you give him for the mattress?
$3,000.
That's incorrect.
Show me that you gave him $3,000. I can't figure that you had saved $3,000.
I gave him that to purchase the mattress because that was the time I was purchasing my car.
How could you purchase a car? You don't work. You don't work.
The first one
this
was
doesn't tell me anything.
Transaction that
this doesn't tell me anything. You want to tell me that tells me nothing. You want to give that to her. I would have to find credible, Miss Irwin, that you had managed to save from your job that you had for 3 months while you claim you were paying your father rent, $3,000.
It was the leftover money from me purchasing my car.
Oh, I don't believe that. For 1 second. Okay, you want to tell me about the mattress, sir?
Okay, simply put, I got one for myself when she wasn't living with me, and the mattress I furnished her with, it was a floor model. He gave me a good deal on it. I think it retails about $3,500. I got it for $2,300. My daughter and I did have an agreement that she could purchase the mattress for $1,800. However, as you may have figured out, that did not occur.
And this was after she moved back in October, or when she was...
Yep, yes it was.
After she moved back in October?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. Mattress is staying where it is. Okay. Now let's go to dresser, nightstand, and TV. So you acknowledge that none of those things you purchased, bed, dresser, nightstand, and TV.
No, I did not purchase them.
Okay. Now that's your father's. He threw out my clothes, shoes, and jewelry. Now, you were evicted
Yes.
Was it an actual eviction? Did marshals come to the house?
No. I got served the eviction notice on June 30th. He illegally locked me out.
No. Just June 30th.
Yes.
So on June 30th, you were given an eviction notice that said that you had to be out on what date?
In 30 days.
Okay. So far, is that correct, Mr. Irwin?
It's fairly correct. I do have the 30-day no-cause notice to quit that she was served.
Okay. And on what date did you leave?
On July 1st, because he had thrown a camera
Just a
at
second.
my boyfriend.
You left on July 1st?
Yes.
Tell me how you left.
I packed a small bag and I had left.
You packed a small bag that contained what?
A few of my clothes and whatever I could grab for a few nights.
And where did you go?
To my boyfriend's house.
So you went to Corey's house?
Yes.
Do you have a laptop?
I do not.
Do you have a phone?
Yes, I do.
Did you take the phone?
Yes, I did.
You took some clothes with you, and you knew that you had an eviction notice, correct?
Yes.
Tell me what jewelry you allege your father threw out.
He threw out my necklace my boyfriend had bought me. He threw out...
Which boyfriend?
This boyfriend, Corey.
Tell me about the necklace.
He had purchased it for my birthday.
Okay. Stand up, Corey. Tell me about the necklace you purchased.
I had purchased it from K Jewelers. I had purchased it for about $250.
Okay. When?
On her birthday, just a little before.
When's her birthday?
February 20th.
Did she wear the necklace?
Yes, Your Honor.
Every day?
No, just on occasions, whenever we'd go out and do stuff and all that.
When she came to your house with her bag, did you ever see the necklace again?
No, I did not, Your Honor.
Do you know where this necklace is?
I do not.
Did you throw away a necklace?
I guess anything's possible because when she left and sent me the "have a nice rest of your life" text, it looked like a hoarder's room, so I guess anything could have been in there.
Who cleaned it up?
I did.
Didn't see a necklace?
Didn't see a necklace.
Okay. Were you looking for anything of value?
I wasn't looking for anything. To me, it looked like old clothes that probably hadn't been worn in years.
Okay.
I just wanted to clear out the room.
Fine. Have a seat. Other than that necklace, what other jewelry did you have?
I had some rings I purchased from Ojai, California on a trip I previously took for my dad.
Okay. What else? You took a bag of clothes. What specific, because you had jewelry, shoes. I assume you took some shoes with you because you were going to be there.
Not.
Well, you were wearing a pair of shoes.
Yes, I was. I was wearing my old shoes.
Okay. When you got rid of all of the stuff, Mr. Irwin, you didn't go through any of it?
No, I did not.
Did you give her any notice that she had 10 days, 2 weeks to get her stuff?
I did not give her notice.
On what date did you dispose of all of her stuff?
It would have been around July 20th, about 20 days after or so.
Okay. Well, but even according to your eviction notice, she had 30 days to vacate.
Well, if you read the actual eviction notice, it's 5 days. After 5 days, you have to file another part of the eviction notice, which is unlawful detainer, meaning that she is now there illegally. So she left within the 5 days, willfully.
I'm 19 years old, and I want to live to be 79. And right now, that doesn't look good for you. I'm telling you, you look troubled and older than your years.
"19-year-old Isabel Irwin has accused her father, Neil Irwin, of throwing out her personal property. Neil claims he paid for Isabel's belongings.
Okay, so you didn't file the next step.
I did not.
So she left within 5 days. That was the
Yes.
agreement. And she just left the place a mess.
A mess, yes.
Okay, who is this?
This is my mother, Janice Leonard.
Could you stand up, please, for a moment? Miss Leonard, how many grandkids do you have?
Well, from Neil too, I have 6.
Did you and Miss Irwin get along?
Oh, yes. She came to, we lived in Idaho at the time. I had an equestrian center. So every summer she would be there all summer long. We taught her to ride. She had the best horses. She jumped. She was a fantastic rider. But as the years went on, it was just getting more difficult. When she turned 14, her behavior changed drastically.
Can you describe, I know that you moved back to where your son lived. And according to the answer, he gave you a key to the house. He was in Las Vegas on a trip.
That's correct.
Could you describe when you went into the house what Miss Irwin's room looked like?
Every time I would go over there, the house would be worse every single day. And there was a very strong, pungent smell, so I thought the dogs were going to the bathroom. Her room was a total disaster. There's clothes literally strewn, I don't know how tall, but 12 inches maybe. Nothing was ever picked up. And one day, before Neil came back, I said, this place is really smelling bad. And later I learned that they were smoking marijuana. They would be in the bedroom and giggling and in the bathroom together. And when I would come, she'd only be there for maybe 20 minutes and they both would leave. There was no respect, I have to say. I've seen her in action and she can be very nice and very polite, but there's a whole nother side that is actually very scary, to the point when she was, years ago, 14, my husband and I were locking our bedroom door because we were afraid of her when she stayed.
Okay, thank you. Isabel, is that what they call you, or they have a
Yes.
Isabel. Word of advice, caution, you're 19?
Yes.
You look older. That's not a compliment. You seem like an intelligent young woman.
Thank you.
But I see issues there of blaming everyone else, and it's very possible that your father and your mother and other people share the blame in your issues. That's possible. But at this point in your life, Isabel, you're just starting, and you can either spend your life blaming somebody else, parent, grandparents, siblings, for where you are, or you can say, I have to get myself some help, and put a period, because I'm 19 years old and I want to live to be 79. And right now, that doesn't look good for you. I'm telling you, you look troubled and older than your years. Your father looks better. Your grandmother looks better. They look appropriate to their age and stage and clearer. So I think that you should get some help. I also think, Mr. Irwin, there were things in her room, and believe me, I have seen rooms like that. You know, I have been involved with lots of kids and grandchildren. Most of them grow up, and once they get a place of their own, they walk around with a bottle of Windex and Bounty and clean up after everybody's fingerprints. But if they're living in their parents' house or their grandparents' house, they live like slobs. Sometimes that never changes. But, you know, there's messy, and then there is dysfunctional. And what you are describing is dysfunctional. And I think if your daughter was honest, she would look and she would say, that's dysfunctional. You were in the room, Corey?
Yes, Your Honor.
Stand up. Would you describe your girlfriend's room in her father's house as evidence of being dysfunctional? Not a right here, Corey.
Okay.
Does her room look like your room?
No, it does not, Your Honor.
Okay. Would your mother permit your room to look like her room? It's not an answer, Corey. Would your mother permit your room that you're sharing to look like the room that was in his house where your girlfriend lived and you stayed occasionally?
No, Your Honor.
No. Okay, sit down. You should have looked for the necklace. He gave me an honest answer to everything that I asked him. So the necklaces was probably mixed in with a load of garbage that was there.
To say the least.
That was accumulated. It was like a hoarder. So I'm
Your
awarding
Honor,
you.
I have a
you
video
give it to your
of the
boyfriend.
room.
$250 to go and buy her a new necklace. Thank you very much. This case is over.
Thank you, Your Honor.
This court is adjourned.
I agree with the judge's decision 100%. I think it was very fair.
I think it wasn't fair.
She has so much more potential than what she's doing right now.
I was just trying to get my belongings, and he literally just never wanted me to do it.
She's a great kid, and in all reality, she's just making some wrong decisions right now.
I made any really bad decisions. It's all been influenced by my father. You know, the apple doesn't fall far from the tree.
I hope she grows up, and I love her.
I know I need to grow up, but he evicted me, gave me 2 days, and I didn't want to make my dad mad.
I hope you weren't talking about me when you were thinking of your grandchildren keeping messy rooms. I try and be neat and nice and organized.
Well, I wasn't thinking about you today as a law school graduate, but I do remember when you were in college and you were staying with us rather than in the dorm, keeping your door closed because it looked like somebody hit your room with a mixmaster.
Maybe just a few too many open suitcases, I guess.
Yeah, open, unpacked suitcases. But got older and more respectful, and then you had your own apartment, and I remember visiting your apartment, and I said, who is it that lives here? I couldn't figure out who lives here. It's not the same person who lived with me.
It's a maturity thing, and I think I was shocked to see that she was only 19 years old, in line with what you said to her, that she looks older beyond her years, and some difficulty can do that to you, but you have to take accountability and do what you can to make your life organized and set yourself up for success.
That, all that is true. I'm not sure that she has all the tools to do that, and I don't know if she has anybody there to guide her. It's too bad, because she seems like an intelligent young woman, and her grandmother certainly portrayed a picture of a child who was accomplished when she was younger, and then something happened.
I hope she turns it around.
Hope she turns it around. I hope it's not other issues.
Mark Michelonis is suing his former roommate, Christopher Robertson, for rent, a security deposit, and stolen property.
Court come to order. All rise.
Have a seat, please.
Hello, Judge. Case 2066, Michelonius versus Robertson.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Mr. Robertson, how long had you been living in your apartment prior to renting a room to the plaintiff?
I believe it was about 3 years.
You had been living there by yourself?
No, I had roommates previously.
When did the plaintiff move in?
I believe that it was January 1st of 2017.
2017?
It may have been 2018. It was the first, I forget.
It was 2018.
That's correct.
How long did he live there with you?
He lived there with me until September of 2021.
So far, that correct, sir?
Yes, ma'am.
So now let me understand this lawsuit. Mr. Robertson lived in his apartment for 3 years. You answered an ad for a room. You lived with him in his home as a tenant from January 2018 until September 2021.
Correct.
At that time, there was a dispute. We will get into that in a moment. There was a dispute. During part of that time, Mr. Michelonis, you did not pay rent. Is that correct? During COVID?
That's correct.
For what period of time did you not pay rent?
Well, I had...
Give me how many months did not pay rent?
There was...
You don't have to think out loud. How many months between January of 2018 and September 2021 did you not pay rent? Give me a number. That's a number.
4 months. Some months I paid partial rent. But there were 4 months that I did not pay any rent.
4 months, no rent. And how many months did you pay partial rent?
I believe that would have been 4 or 3.
So for 7 months, you did not pay your rent. Paying partial rent is not rent. Now, my question to you, Mr. Robertson, is this is an apartment that you rent.
Yes.
Or rented. From January 2018 until September 2021, was your rent current?
My portion of the rent was current.
What do you mean your portion?
My portion that I was responsible for.
No, it's your apartment. You're responsible for the whole thing, Mr. Robertson.
Yes.
Okay? You're responsible for the whole rent. And if what you chose to do was to say to your landlord, listen, I have a roommate, I'm just paying my portion of the rent, my roommate isn't paying his, then your rent wasn't paid.
Yes.
And I assume that your rent wasn't paid for the same period of time that he didn't pay you his portion of the rent.
Yes.
Was it for any period of time greater than that? Greater than the 4 months or the 7 months that he didn't pay rent?
I went through my bank statements and they went back until, I believe, July of 2020. And that's as far back as my bank app lets me go.
Okay.
There were more months than that I received partial or no rent payments for.
From him?
From him.
I'm asking you about your landlord. If you didn't pay your landlord, you telling me your landlord didn't file an eviction against you?
There were several months that he did pay his full rent, and so that would have meant that the entire rent for that period.
Well, I know, but if the rent was not paid, did your landlord ever serve you an eviction notice?
No, there was an eviction moratorium in Alameda County at that point for unpaid rents due to COVID.
Gotcha. So that would it be a fair statement that you both took advantage of that? He took advantage of it, and so did you.
I wouldn't say that it was me trying to take advantage. I would just say it was my inability to cover the entire rent.
Your portion as well as his?
My portion was always covered.
Your portion was covered?
Yes.
Okay. Now, Mr. Michelonis, when did you move from month and year?
It was September of 2021.
And when did you leave there?
I believe it was the 3rd or 4th week of August of 2021.
So you both left the place at about the same time?
I left involuntarily, but yes.
Well, you left involuntarily, because that's what this case is about. Okay, so now I have the structure of it. Do you understand the structure of it?
I understand.
You understand the structure of it? I just want to make sure that people out there watching understand the structure of it. So you were the rentor, and you had an argument. It resulted in a protective order for somehow some genius put him out of his own apartment because of these protective... You weren't in the hospital for anything, were you, as a result of an assault? No.
No.
You have no medical records there of being treated for any injury.
It was a harassment.
Just a minute. Do you know my husband harasses me every day? Every day. I couldn't think of evicting him. I mean, you do other things. So the answer is, you were never treated for any illness. You were never treated for anxiety at a hospital as a result of this harassment. As a result of your allegations, let us say of harassment, Mr. Robertson was ejected from his own home, from which you had not been paying rent, your portion that you were supposed to pay contractually with him for months because of COVID. Am I getting this story right so far? I'm not finished yet, but so far, is there anything that I said was wrong?
I think that's pretty close. I mean,
okay, so that's pretty close. And now what you are seeking here is, should I say basically, and I hate that word, basically, but it's appropriate in this case. So all of those haters out there, she used basically, I don't care. It's appropriate here.
And I put in the protective order that they were living with me, but they were moving.
No. They were living with you. You were living with them.
Well, yeah, we were living together.
No. You were living with the defendant. He wasn't living with you.
Mark Michelonis claims his former roommate, Christopher Robertson, owes for rent, a security deposit, and stolen property. Christopher is countersuing, claiming Mark owes him for rent.
Now, what you're claiming in your lawsuit is that after a review of the copy of the underlying lease, you found that you were paying the vast majority of the rent.
Correct.
And so you want a return of that money.
That's correct.
Under what theory in the law?
Well, basically that he defrauded me.
No, now you can't use a basically.
Okay.
I want to know what theory is there in the law that says if I own a building and I lease to someone the whole building for $10,000, and then I find somebody who is prepared to pay me, and I have the first 2 floors of the building. 3rd floor is vacant. I find somebody who's willing to pay me $9,000 a month just for the top floor. That makes me a good business person. But unless there is something that prohibits him from doing that...
There is, Your Honor.
Show me.
There's a clause in the lease.
No, just show me.
Okay.
I'm a lawyer. I can read a lease.
So the sublease that I agreed to with him incorporates the entirety of this master
Just a second.
lease.
I'd just like to see it, please, sir. I'd just like to see it. I assume you've highlighted what you want me to read.
Correct.
Okay. So what you're pointing to is that the landlord, his landlord, was not advised that you were subletting.
No.
Well, that's why signed by every tenant.
So that was one of the things, because if you look at the second lease, the one that was altered by Christopher to remove those areas so I wouldn't be aware, or I wouldn't be able to enforce them, was because he moved his boyfriend in without getting my consent. And so it says in there that he needs written consent. I understand that that doesn't apply to me, but he thought it did. And so he used whiteout on the other lease that I gave to you to obfuscate those terms.
I don't know how to put this to you, sir, other than to say, let me backtrack. What kind of work do you do?
I'm a web developer.
You work for yourself or for a company?
I do. I'm an independent contractor.
How long have you been doing that?
2 years.
Prior to that, what were you doing?
I was a system administrator.
For whom?
For a small company in San Francisco.
How long did you work for them?
6 years.
So for 2 years, you were an independent web developer, and you're still an independent web developer.
Correct.
And that's how you support yourself.
Right.
So you work out of your home.
Right.
And you've been working out of your home, you said, the last 2 years since 2020. This is 2022 or 19.
Right.
What do you mean right?
So it was it would have been.
When you moved in 2018, were you an independent contractor?
No, I was going to school.
You were going to school?
Right.
For what?
I went to,
Just a second, for what?
For web technologies. It was a program for web development technology.
Did you go in person?
Yes, it was an intensive.
For how long?
It was 3 months. It was 8 hours a day.
Okay, so you went to school for 3 months.
Right.
During what period of time?
January 2018 to end of March 2018.
Okay, and at that time you were living with the plaintiff?
Correct.
Okay, so you needed a room for that 3-month period. And after that time, you supported yourself by being your own boss, by developing websites.
It took me a while to find a job, but yes.
What do you mean it took you time to find a job?
The interview process to get work. I was interviewing. It was very hard to break into that industry.
And so what did you do?
So I started taking on independent work.
So you never actually got a job outside of the independent work that you did?
That's correct.
So you support yourself by doing web development out of your home?
Yes.
So you used the home that you were living in, that room that you were renting, for not only your personal business, but you operated a place of business out of your residence.
Okay.
What do you mean, okay?
Yes.
Yes. I just want you to see how ridiculous you are. You want $10,000 because you overpaid what you consider your fair share of the rent. That's not going to happen. You come here, you didn't pay rent for at least 7 months because of COVID. You were working according to you. You were a web developer, still are. It's 2022 because you have no other job other than being a web developer. You stopped paying rent. You moved out after he did, correct?
Well,
did you pay?
I'd like to
correct in the month that you lived there, when you had put him out of his house because you were
they were moving out. I did not put him out of the house.
I thought that was a protective order.
It was, but they were, and I put in the protective order that they were living with me, but they were moving, and so.
No. They were living with you. You were living with them.
Well, yeah, we were living together.
No. You were living with the defendant. He wasn't living with you. You were renting a place, although you weren't paying rent from him, and the underlying landlord wasn't getting his money, all of his money, because he wasn't getting your money. And what's coming to me is that somebody got stiffed with rent, and that would be the landlord who rented you your place where you were living, because you didn't pay him the whole thing. You didn't pay him the whole thing. And now you want me, you're asking me, to award you $10,000 for overpayment of rent.
Your Honor, could I clarify something? The times when I didn't pay rent, I was not working. It was during COVID, so the first couple months of the COVID lockdown, I lost all of my contracts, so I didn't have any money. And so I was using the COVID. There was a COVID process where you could, basically say that.
There's no basically in there. Only I used it once.
So I did not have the money to pay rent. I was not just making money and not paying rent. I would not do that. I was broke. All of my contracts dried up because nobody had any money. I was working for small.
So what are you
companies.
suing him for now? The government was very good to you. This is a very interesting America. It's a rent forgiveness, it's a rent moratorium. That doesn't mean the state where you live. What state do you live in?
California.
California. That doesn't mean the owner of this premises was given some sort of a break that they didn't have to pay for utilities, taxes, mortgage on the building, because it's used as a business. As far as I know, there wasn't a moratorium on that, but there was a moratorium on two seemingly able-bodied people to say to the landlord, I can't pay my rent. To add insult to injury, you think that I'm going to give you $10,000 because he charged you more than whatever the 3rd or 40% of your occupancy of the apartment, and he shouldn't have? That's not going to happen, sir. So forget it. I've been here a long time. If a landlord is owed $5,000,
yes,
he doesn't say, well, tenant owes me $5,000, but his apartment was clean. I'm going to give him back his $2,000 security deposit. That doesn't happen.
Mark Michelonis has accused his former roommate, Christopher Robertson, of overcharging for rent and keeping his property. Christopher is countersuing Mark for unpaid rent.
Now, you gave him a security deposit. That is part of your lawsuit. Correct. So I want you to forget the overpayment of rent because it is ridiculous.
Okay.
So now let's go to the security deposit part of your complaint. Did he give you a security deposit?
He did, Your Honor.
Now, he didn't pay rent because of this moratorium
Yes.
on rent. Did you get your security deposit back from the landlord?
I did.
How much?
I believe I got the total amount for the entire apartment, which was approximately $2,000.
And how much did Mr. Michelonis give you as a security deposit?
He gave me $1,250 for the security deposit plus a $300 deposit pet deposit.
Sometimes the pet deposit is refundable. Did you get the pet deposit back?
I don't recall specifically if I got that back from the landlord.
But you did get back your entire security deposit, which included his $1,250.
Yes.
Okay.
That's correct.
Let's hold that in abeyance for a moment, because now I'm going to go to your counterclaim.
Sure.
I think that's all I have to deal with. Oh, and property taken without permission. Did you get that property back? There was some...
I did not.
What property was it?
There was a stone Buddha carving. There was some dishes, some glasses.
Oh, give me a break. Do you have a stone Buddha carving?
I have the stone Buddha carving. I have a small statuette, a rooster that is his, and a small metal
Great. Would
serving
you
spoon set.
pack those up?
Yes.
Do you live close to each other?
I haven't been able to because of our mutual restraining orders.
Fine. Do you know where your local precinct is?
Yes.
Where is it located?
I believe that the closest one would be downtown for me, downtown Oakland.
Okay. You'll find out before you leave today. In 5 days, drop it off at the local precinct.
Absolutely.
Let him know when, and he could go pick up his Buddha.
Yes, I don't want
Great.
bad in my home.
Terrific. Now, money owed for COVID debt is your counterclaim.
Yes.
Which is what?
It
how
is
much?
a total of $55.35, I believe.
For what?
That is the unpaid rent.
But you didn't pay his rent, you just told me.
Right, and so this is the outstanding balance of the rent that he never paid that I'm responsible for as the master tenant.
Oh, no, you just told me that you got your security deposit back. If you got your security deposit back, sir, that means that the landlord is finished with you.
According to the law...
Not according to the law. If you got your security deposit back, the entire security deposit, the landlord has written it off, because otherwise he would have taken your security deposit if you owed him or her money. Do you understand what I'm saying? It's very simple.
I understand
it's
what you're
very
saying.
Simple.
I wish I could explain that to them in your...
Well...
in your manner.
I want to tell you something. I've been here a long time. If a landlord is owed $5,000,
yes,
he doesn't say, well, tenant owes me $5,000, but his apartment was clean. I'm going to give him back his $2,000 security deposit. That doesn't happen.
So
only in the land of Oz does that happen.
They might live there.
No, they might live there, but I don't live there. Okay. You owe him $1,250 for security deposit. This case is over. Your counterclaim's dismissed. We're done.
Court is adjourned.
Thank you very much.
I would just like to bring...
Bye.
Well, I was a little upset.
He's being a drama queen.
The clause in the lease was to prevent people from basically taking advantage of the fact that they've been living in a place for a long time and gouging rent for new tenants.
He said I was price gouging him because he was enough to pay more rent than he might have if he had done some more research.
They were trying to make it equal, and every place that I've lived in, there was always an equitable share of the rent. Like, no one was ever gouging anybody, so I felt that I was unjustly charged.
Well, I can't say it wasn't very satisfying to hear the judge call his claims ridiculous to his face.
Basically, he was leaving the front door open, making it so my dog could escape easily. He was filling the house up with smoke.
We both burned sage.
He was basically trying to get me riled up. He wanted me to move.
While I am disappointed that I won't be able to recover some of his COVID debt.
Basically, the moment that he was, it was inconvenient for me to be there, he tried to make my life miserable.
I'm glad that I will never have to see him again, and this is done.
I'm not living with roommates ever again. I've got my dog, and we're cool.
He was a nightmare, and I never have to see him again.
Far be it from me to second guess another judge, but it would seem to me sort of outrageous unless there was some sort of a physical altercation. Why anyone, because he clearly was excluded from his house, he left first.
नमस्कार दोस्तों, कैसे हो आप? मैं आज लेके आया हूँ आपके लिए सिल्वर और गोल्ड ज्वेलरी के बारे में थोड़ी जानकारी। सिल्वर ज्वेलरी में हर ज्वेलरी अलग अलग प्रकार की होती है। इसमें गोल्ड, सिल्वर प्लेटेड ज्वेलरी, 9 to 5 ज्वेलरी, प्लेटिनम ज्वेलरी, बहुत ही शानदार ज्वेलरी की डिजाइन होती है। तो दोस्तों, आपके वहाँ कौन सी ज्वेलरी बहुत ही ज़्यादा पहनी जाती है, सिल्वर या गोल्ड? वो कमेंट ज़रूर कीजिए। हमारे यहाँ सिल्वर की ज्वेलरी बहुत ही ज़्यादा पहनी जाती है। इस सिल्वर ज्वेलरी में सिल्वर पायल की डिज़ाइन बहुत ही ज़्यादा पहनी जाती है। वो पायल है पूछ पायल, जोधपुरी पायल, ऐसी बहुत ही पायलों का नाम अलग अलग दिया जाता है। आगरा पायल, ये पायल का डिज़ाइन का नाम। इसमें जोधपुरी और भुज पायल बहुत ही खूबसूरत मानी जाती है। और गोल्ड ज्वेलरी में 2 प्रकार की होती है, 9 to 5, 99, 916, 84 कैरेट बोलते हैं, 22 कैरेट बोलते हैं, 22 कैरेट हिंदी में। देखिए दोस्तों, इंग्लिश में क्या बोलते हैं वो पता है आपको तो ज़रूर कमेंट कीजिए। 24 कैरेट को हिंदी में, इंग्लिश में क्या बोलते हैं वो ज़रूर कमेंट कीजिए। और दोस्तों, आप हमारे चैनल पे कहाँ से बने हुए हैं वो भी एक बार लोकेशन ज़रूर कमेंट कीजिए। देखिए दोस्तों, आराम से बात करेंगे, आप उनका टाइम निकालेंगे, आपका भी टाइम निकालेंगे। मेरे को कोई जल्दबाजी नहीं है, 10 मिनट ऐसे ही आपका टाइम निकाल देंगे। देखिए दोस्तों, ये हमारे फ्रेंड है, हर वीडियो में ये भैया आएगा। देखिए इसका नाम क्या है? ओ, नाम क्या है आपका? जेके। इसका नाम है जेके फुटवेयर जानेरा। अरे यार, जेके का मतलब क्या होता है वो भी ज़रूर कमेंट कीजिए। पूरा नाम मैं ज़रूर बताऊंगा जेके का। और आप कहाँ से वो कमेंट ज़रूर नहीं किया। और मेरे पीछे स्कैनर लगा हुआ है, जो आपका कोई भी इच्छा है पैसे डालने का तो वो जूम करके स्कैन करके इसमें डाल सकते हो। मेरा पूरा एड्रेस आ जाएगा, ठीक है। और ये देख रहे हो चश्मे वाले भाई कैसे मुस्कुरा रहे हैं, और ऊपर सिल्वर बटन है। हमने मेहनत की है, इसका आया है, लेकिन किस चैनल का है वो ज़रूर नहीं बताएंगे, 100% नहीं बताएंगे, क्योंकि मेरे पास लगभग 20 चैनल है। कोई भी चैनल का नाम आज तक मैंने किसी को बताया नहीं। ये चैनल का नाम भी आप देख लो, लेकिन बताऊंगा नहीं मेरे चैनल का नाम, ठीक है। एक बार ज़रूर जाके देख लो और सब्सक्राइब कर दो। सब्सक्राइब नहीं किया तो शेयर कर दो, और ऐसी कोई भी जानकारी के लिए हमको सपोर्ट जरूर करें। अभी हो गया टाइम 3 मिनट का, तो मैं वीडियो को करता हूँ समाप्त और मिलते हैं अगले वीडियो में।